Ooh, look at the people.
Oh, there's 1/3 more than normal.
1/3 more.
Is it you see a number?
No, I was talking about
that
us.
one.
Tonight we're doing math on the live. We'll start with basic addition and subtraction, move through multiplication and division until we're eventually at calculus. No.
Also, we'll say hi to people.
Okay.
And I'm going to click on it because we can't read it, and we can't read it that way either.
I've got my...
oh, you've got it there.
But,
okay.
But yeah, but that works too.
Well, before we read all of that, I'm going to say, for those of you that don't know, this is Viviana.
Hello.
And she came wearing clothes.
You're welcome.
Which is unusual.
Which is unusual.
Normally, she comes over for Swinger D&D. Roll for initiative.
Oh my God.
Don't critically fail.
Oh my God. What happens if I roll a 1? There's nothing to lose.
Story of my life.
Hi there, Kevin. Let's see. Can we move this closer?
Yeah.
Is that?
If we move it closer...
Oh, it's going to mess up our stuff.
We won't be able to see everybody.
That's fine.
Unless we're all like... for the whole thing, which could be
from
kind of
Claim Jumper. I had the macaroni and cheeseburger for dinner.
You had a
I
what?
didn't know if I'll make it home in time for the show. Well, you did.
That sounds delicious too, though.
Oh, Kevin said that.
Yeah.
Anita said
hi. Anita.
Hi, Anita.
And,
what's Claim Jumper?
And hi, Stacy. Uh-oh. There we go. Did it work? Good evening, all. It's Friday 13th. Beware of black cats. Don't walk under a ladder or break a mirror. I've done all of those things today.
Uh-oh.
Dear.
I did do ladder safety training today.
I did too. Sort of. All right.
Hello, Les.
I was going to say, where are we at?
Roddy, Ed.
Hello, Roddy, Ed.
Backwards. Oh, and Matt Allen said almost time.
Hello, Matt Allen.
Anita says, hi, Viviana. Stacy said, wow, we're already into Fantastic Cruising After Dark.
and sunset's not for a little
while. I tried to turn off the light, but they told me it was too early for dark. And Gina says hello to everyone. Hello, Gina.
Hi, hello.
Gina. From everyone.
Well, hello there.
And we're caught up.
Yay.
Okay.
You might have to read comments because those are kind of small for me.
I can try and do that.
Can you?
Yeah, I could try.
All right. So
I make no guarantees.
For anyone that doesn't know Viviana, she is one of my first friends that I met down here in Florida, and she has stuck around, so that's cool. And she just got off of a cruise, right?
Yes.
What cruise did you go on?
So we cruised on Royal Caribbean's Utopia of the Sea. This cruise was a 5-day, 4 nights. It left on a Monday from Port Canaveral and came back on Friday. It cruised out to Nassau and also stopped at Royal Caribbean's private island, Coco Cay. They also call it Perfect Day at Coco Cay. We typically cruise on Royal Caribbean, and we definitely have enjoyed all of our cruises on Royal Caribbean. I take that back slightly. There was one that I wasn't a fan of, but that's a personal thing. I get really bad motion sickness on very small cruise ships. So we did do Grandeur of the Sea at one point, and it was out of Tampa, which was nice because I live in Tampa, but I spent most of the time in my cabin very unhappy. But on Utopia of the Sea, it's such a massive ship that I barely felt any kind of movement.
Before we go any further, I'm just going to put this out there because we are using a different microphone setup. If you guys can hear all three of us, good. Let us know. If you can't hear one of us or two of us, let us know so that we can kind of correct that if we need to. And also that leads me to Ed, who said, "Where are you guys? I don't see all the critters." Yes, this is the D&D room, Ed, that you made the sign for, the Dungeons and Dragons and dining room, where we which used to be our living room, but is now the dining room. So that's where we are. We're at the dining room table, which is more commonly used for role playing games than it is for eating, but we do eat when we play role playing games usually.
Yes.
And we've got the bows in the background, the arrows, the Kermit,
The shelving with the minis.
Yes. So that is where we are.
Everyone says that they can all hear us perfect.
I'm sorry,
Fantastic.
Did you hear what they said this morning on the radio at work?
The aquarium is officially open.
And then they said, everybody have a fantastic day. And I'm like, I am suing for copyright.
Do it. Get them.
All right. So back to your adventure. Are you going to ask questions like an interviewer?
I mean, I started
I know.
with that.
I was kind of enjoying the vibe.
I kind of just went.
That's okay. That's all right.
Sorry. And it is my fault that we are in here instead of with the critters. For everyone out there, I absolutely do not like reptiles, mostly just snakes. And there are snakes in the room that they're normally in. So they did me a kindness of moving the interview or today's live to the living room where the critters are not.
I mean, you did drive all the way here for this.
A whole 30 minutes. Good grief.
When I initially asked you, I thought we were doing it all virtual. Like, this makes a lot more sense.
It's more fun this way, too. I mean, sometimes you have to do what you got to do.
Yes, cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers.
They're drinking wine. I'm drinking absinthe and ginger beer and lime juice.
You didn't juice anything.
I did, but with a hand juicer.
Well, but you didn't juice or juice it.
Mm-mm.
We got the juicer. We can talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later.
Ed says now it's the D&D and swingers room.
Whoa!
Oh, God. The only thing missing is the pineapples. We don't have any pineapples in here.
He did put a pineapple emoji in that, though.
I know.
Swings and arrows of outrageous misfortune. Slings. Oh, slings and arrows. But I think it should have been swings. I think
it was appropriate for the conversation.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so you said you were on Utopia of the Seas,
yes,
which is a really big ship, and you did not get sick.
Nope.
And it was 4 nights, and you went to Coco Cay and Nassau.
Yes.
Okay, so let's start with the ports, and then we'll get into the ship.
Okay.
Did you go to Coco Cay or Nassau first?
Nassau.
And what did you do there?
Absolutely nothing. We did not get off the ship. It is not our first time there at Nassau, and honestly, there really isn't a whole lot that we like at Nassau to do to warrant getting off the ship. And actually, port days where you don't get off the ship are one of my favorite days, mainly because there's lines for nothing. You want to find jacuzzi where it's just you and your buddies, great. It's very likely that you'll be able to. Getting drinks is super fast. So I actually really enjoy not getting off the ship on a port day.
Okay. So another question before we keep going, because I'm sure it'll come into play a little bit with the next one. Who did you cruise with?
Oh, my family. So my husband, my sister-in-law and her husband with her tiny 2 kids, ages 3 and 5, or she's about to be 3 next month, but we'll say 3 and 5. And then also my father-in-law and mother-in-law. Typically we cruise with them. It's we make it family vacations out of it.
Just to make you feel better, Les also doesn't like snakes.
Actually, he said I love snakes too.
Yes, but he was full of sarcasm. And
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And Stacy, who I think was also full of sarcasm. I'm not a big fan of snakes, especially a really vicious one that almost killed me. I'm almost recovered from that. Yes. We just handed Stacy one of our snakes and it bit him.
Oh my God.
I mean,
its really
head is like
one.
the size of my fingernail, so it didn't do a lot of damage.
I mean, props for him.
We do
for
call him
even...
9-finger Stacy now, though.
Oh gosh. Props to him for even wanting to get near it.
He willingly held it.
He did. I mean, we didn't just like throw it.
And then he held another one afterward.
He did, and it didn't bite him. So
no, because Hedwig doesn't bite anyone.
Yeah.
Hedwig just hisses and then curls up in your hand when you pull him out.
Okay.
He's precious. Anyway, okay, so Nassau, you did nothing. So
we stayed on the
okay,
ship.
but you didn't do anything at NASA.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
However, that is a good thing. Like,
yeah.
so for people that are like at a port that they're not excited about, it's not always a bad thing. You can turn that up into a positive and make a nice ship day, like a sea day that's not at sea.
Correct.
So that's pretty cool.
And I personally really enjoy that. So whenever I see a port that I'm kind of mad about, like, that's perfect.
Right.
That means I get a good ship day where it's a sea day with less people.
Yeah.
So, and also less rocky, depending on the size of the ship.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so next you went to Coco Cay?
We did. We went to Coco Cay, and my brother-in-law decided to rent a cabana. So Coco Cay has lots of different little areas.
Can you go grab my phone?
They've got family areas, and then they've got adults only areas. They have cabins that are meant for, or not cabins, cabanas that are meant for any of those scenarios.
Matt.
It's right there.
Oh, I tapped the other phone and I saw Matt. It wasn't me.
That was my phone.
It was the wrong Matt.
You know that my phone is pink, right?
Well, it's dark and I'm...
That's fancy. So the cabana that we stayed at this time, because it's not the first time, this would be the third time we get a cabana at Coco Cay, all of them in different areas. The first one was at the water park area, and then the second one was in the adults only area. And the one we went to most recently is a cabana that floats out in the ocean. So you have to walk through a dock or over a dock to get to your cabana.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. Now, mind you, I am a really bad Floridian. I do not like the beach. I don't like the beach. I don't like being out in the sun. I put on sunscreen when I'm not leaving the house. So it's not my cup of tea, but it's what.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Kimber broke things.
Well,
that was not the internet. That was Kimbernet.
I was trying to get on my phone so I could share some of the pictures that you sent.
Yeah.
Since you're talking about the cabana. But apparently we can only log in with one person under the same username because we don't pay for this service. So you get to see it on my phone. This is the cabana.
Yes, Stacy, the Copa cabana. Not really, but yes, but not really, but yes.
So with the cabana, you get an attendant that comes out and basically is your personal wait staff. They come and they take everyone's drink orders. Do you need food? They come and check on you and all that fun jazz. So that was definitely a positive. So I enjoyed sitting in the cabana, getting someone to bring me drinks, munching on food, and playing on my phone, because I just didn't really want to be in the ocean or on the sand. However, those things were beautiful, and people who enjoy those kind of things would absolutely love it. But for me, it was just to be out there with my family, and I just hung out in the cabana. But the cabana was comfortable, it was pretty, and the service was great.
That's cool.
Cool.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good gig that you had there.
Yeah.
So.
And so the drinks, did it come with the cabana, or was that because you had the drink package?
It was because I had the drink package. However, the cabana is actually pretty awesome that they do this for you. Since half of the guests there had a drink package, they expanded that to everybody.
Oh.
And so my in-laws didn't have the drink package, but myself, my husband, my brother-in-law did. His wife didn't, because they ended up booking two different cabins. One cabin for them and one cabin for the kids, but you have to have one adult in each booked.
Right.
So they didn't have to buy a drink package for his wife. So he bought it just for him. So there was only 3 out of the 6 adults that had drink packages, but they didn't charge us anything
And they're like,
extra.
we're not dealing with all this. You're just going to
Yeah.
get the drink package.
They just threw everything on whoever had drink packages.
That's cool.
And just moved on from there.
That's cool. Stacy's asking, sounds fun, or saying sounds fun, asking, how many people did it hold?
I think the cabana can hold 15.
Oh, okay.
We were a group of 8 with, well, it was 6 adults and 2 little humans. They were adorable, but yes.
Okay.
It was very comfortable.
Cool.
So I was looking the other day, going off subject slightly, at Princess Key, because that's where we're going for our group cruise next September, Viviana.
Mm-hmm. I heard.
And I was looking at their cabana-like things, and everything that I've seen from them, unless they sell something on the ship or on the island that I don't know about, can only hold 4 people.
Well, they're little cabanas.
They're
So
little.
small cabanas.
They're small.
Mini cabanas.
But I did think it could be cool if we got like 3 or 4 of them together.
Oh, yeah. That's,
Like,
possibly.
but you don't get to choose your cabana. You can go to, like, once you get on the ship, you can go ask for like a specific location. So if we figured out how to get a few of them, we could like put them together and then like have a space. I thought that would be neat, but that would be a discussion between all the people.
Yeah, we have to see the logistics of that. Hey there, Cruise Nuts. Welcome.
Okay, so those are the ports. Let's talk about the ship. So where should we start? Should we talk food or should we talk stuff to do?
I don't know, Captain. Where do you want to drive this vessel to?
So let's talk food, because I know that you have an interesting situation with that.
Oh yeah. So my husband is not blessed. He is allergic to dairy and gluten. So nothing with wheat, nothing with any kind of dairy. It becomes very difficult to find food options for him. So Royal Caribbean has meal packages that you can buy. It's just like your drink package, but a meal package. And what that does, it allows you to go to all of their restaurants that they have on board that you'd normally pay extra for. And it's included in the package that you've paid for. So in those restaurants, now you basically have paid for the top tier of everything. So whatever is available to them allows them to make a lot more customized situations to make sure that he can have something that he's going to enjoy, and B, that he can. Dessert. So for example, desserts in the dining hall, you go in there and say gluten-free, dairy-free, plenty of dairy-free items, plenty of gluten-free items, very minimal both, right? So they always bring him a bowl of fruit. He absolutely hates that.
It's but like insult to injury is what that is.
But at the restaurant, he says that, and they bring him a flourless chocolate cake, which is dairy-free and gluten-free. And they'll bring him a decadent dessert that is both. So they go above and beyond in those restaurants than they would in the dining hall or at the buffet. So those are definitely perks that we really enjoy. And so ever since we did that once, we are spoiled and we will never go back. And every night we go to a different restaurant. So we went to Chops to one. Giovanni's was another night. We did 150 Central, I think it's called. I forgot the name of it.
I'm not familiar with
so
that one.
There's several different ones. The one we didn't go to was the Asian cuisine one. That's the only one we
like
didn't.
A sushi place or like a hibachi?
Correct. It's both, actually.
Oh, it's both. Okay.
They have hibachi and sushi. Okay. That's the only restaurant we didn't go to.
Okay.
We went to Hooked. Hooked is my favorite. I am actually not a huge seafood eater, but I absolutely loved Hooked, their restaurant.
Were hooked.
I was hooked with their restaurant. Hooked. So those were the 4 restaurants that we ate at while we were there. For lunch, we went to like Johnny Rockets. That's also an upcharge. If you go to Johnny Rockets, it's not with the meal package. So we enjoyed that very much. And yeah.
Cool.
There's another one called Mason Jar. There's another one called Mason Jar, which is, by the way, in my opinion, some of the best drinks on that ship is at the Mason Jar. They have very different drinks there. They have one that's, it's an apple pie. And my husband loves apple pie. Absolutely loves that drink. I don't really care for apple pie very much, so it's not for me. But it did come with an apple turnover that, of course, has dairy and gluten in it, and so I ate it.
Shucky darns! You took one for the team.
It took one for the team.
I'm going to read 2 comments and then I have another question.
I bet
for
I know
you.
which one. One's going to be, hey there, Real Umpty.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is the first one.
Another representative
there,
from the
Dan.
West Coast.
Welcome. It's been a while.
I think you're still on the West. You still on the West Coast? You and Kevin Counts?
And then the other one is from Les. And Les says, Viviana has an excellent camera presence and studio voice, as you all do.
Aw, thank you.
Aw.
Les is really cool. And both you and him should probably book that cruise in September so that you can meet each other.
Yeah, Les.
So what I was going to ask is, you have been on some other cruise lines, or at least one other cruise line, right?
Correct. Only one other.
Okay. And you did not have the same kind of dining experience, correct?
That is true.
Okay. So Royal Caribbean really steps up the game when it comes to the dining experience for Matt specifically.
Yes.
Not
really
this
does.
Matt. She also has a Matt.
My husband's name is Matt, so that can actually. It's gotten confusing even between us having conversations.
Floor mat,
yoga mat.
Yeah, it's
place mat.
Right. Yeah.
Your mat.
My
mat. But my mat and your mat, my mat are different. My mats.
Yes. Oh yeah. Good God, that's confusing.
I sent her a text one time and asked her if what did I say? Do you and Matt want to come hang out or something like that? And she was like, I mean, I've got plans, but I guess he can come with me. And I'm like, no. My Matt's not going anywhere. I'm inviting you and your
I thought
Matt.
she was trying to set up a play date, but you know. It is what it is. You had a friend in town. I don't know. Maybe you didn't want him to hang out with you and Ashley.
It was real funny.
Could you take Matt for me for like a few hours so I could hang out with my other friend without him?
I was willing to. Listen, I was taking one for the team here.
Wow, is that what I am? Taking one for the team.
It was real funny. And I'm like, that's not what I meant, but have fun.
So
that's fine.
Real Empty is still in Seattle, just a little footnote there. Okay. And we got somebody from Alaska on here.
Before you talk about Alaska, Stacy has spoken.
Stacy has spoken. He says, book the group cruise.
I have my reason for why it's not booked yet, but we can go into that if you'd like. But I don't know if you want to
let's
not get started. All right. So now you can talk about Alaska.
Well, I'm just saying that JT. Is here.
Yes.
He's on a cruise right now.
He is.
Are you still in Alaska, JT? I don't know when you're actually in Alaska and when you're on your way back. Because he left this week.
He left this week.
It was early this week, though.
Some days ago.
Because he flew up there last weekend.
Yeah, they've been on there for a few days.
Yeah, so he might be on his way back, but he might still be in. I don't know. I don't know how long that cruise. I don't know if it was a 7-night or an 8-night.
I can't read. You have to read these things.
It's too small, Matt.
Umpty.
Umpty says, "Hey, all, got to go meet my future wife. Oh, well, congratulations on that. Going to go meet her now. I'll check you in a bit. Sounds good, man. Good to see you again, congrats. By the way. Yep.
Okay, so we've talked about food.
Heading to Victoria, British Columbia.
Oh, nice.
So, Canada.
Nice.
Let's go activities. What types of activities are on the ship?
Well, they have lots of shows. I will say one of my favorite things, which I'm actually really, really bad at, is trivia. I found out I usually get like maybe 50% of the answers correct. But I still like going. It's so fun to learn what you don't know.
Yeah.
And especially on sea days, those are some of my favorite things to do is the trivias. But there's a lot of things to do apart from like the casino, you know. And then there's also all the different shows that they have. On top of that, they have the pool, the jacuzzi. If you need a break from kids, they have the solarium, the adult only area. They also have the water slides, which I meant to do, and we got distracted and didn't actually get to do. But I did do. They have a giant dry slide,
Yeah.
and so I did that. That was fun.
Yeah, does it go pretty fast?
It does. It
Yeah.
actually goes at a decent pace, and they have like lights inside of
Is
it.
it like
so
12,
there's areas
like
where
12
Okay.
floors or something, right?
yeah, it goes from deck 15 to deck 8.
Okay, that's
So-
7 floors, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, it's the math channel. Tonight we're math.
We don't math well. Sorry.
1, 2, 3, 7.
But that was a lot of fun to do
That's
that.
cool.
We did the miniature golfing. That's
Okay.
always fun.
Yeah.
I also miserable at it, but still fun
Sorry,
to do.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Miniature golf or putt-putt? The world wants to know. What do you call it? I mean, you did said miniature golf. So
I say
guess-
miniature golf.
Okay, I do too.
Is there a difference?
Well, some people say there is a difference.
What
I don't-
is the difference?
I don't remember what they said, but they did say there was a difference between putt-putt and miniature golf, and other people say it's just a regional term.
Huh.
By the way, speaking of regional terms, and this is for all of you as well, if I say the term float trip to you, does that mean anything?
Float trip?
Yeah.
It sounds like a thing that I've heard when I worked at West Marine.
Okay, so I always thought that was a general term that was used, but
We had this
Kimber had never
conversation
heard of it.
yesterday.
And then when I told her what it was, she was like, "Oh yeah, I used to do that." So I'm wondering, is that like a Missouri? Because she's from the Midwest. So is it like a Missouri thing, or is that like I don't know.
When I worked at West Marine, a float trip there was an actual device that was in I can't remember the device that it was, but it's essentially floated, and when it got to certain
That
height,
is not a float trip.
it tripped.
That is
and
like an
stopped.
escape room mechanism. That is not a float trip. A float trip to me.
What is it supposed to be? What is the definition of a
It's
float trip?
basically you're either on inner tubes, maybe canoes, maybe kayaks, floating down a river, usually with a bunch of friends, and usually several coolers of alcohol.
Oh,
So that's like if you say float trip to people in Missouri, they know exactly what you mean. I didn't realize
we
that's
call
a
it
more-
tubing.
Well, I call it
Tubing,
river,
okay, all right.
river tubing.
Yes,
Yes.
we call it tubing. That's what we call it here in
I
the
don't-
South.
I don't know.
That's also what we call
I
it
don't
in the
know.
Midwest.
I mean, I'm from the Midwest. I
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
you're in the wrong
I'm
part.
asking
You're
you
in the
guys.
wrong part.
You also think pizza should be cracker thin.
Well, yeah, that is end cut in squares.
Yeah. Squares, yes, always.
Stacy says, "Casino, did you mean the donation machine?"
Yes, I donated. I think like $120.
Oh,
Did
there
they
you go.
donate anything back?
No,
Yeah.
That was nice of them.
no,
Stingy buggers.
they accepted my donation.
Stacy says we call it tubing. Now, Stacy is from the South originally, like it's
Alabama.
Alabama, yeah. I was gonna say.
But now
I
he's
was
in
gonna say Arkansas,
Minnesota.
but that's Alabama. But yeah, but is that a Minnesota thing, or is that your Alabama roots coming through? Does anybody else call it float trip?
No.
Did I not realize? Like when I moved to Florida, I didn't know that St. Louis has a thing for trick or treating where you have to tell a joke. I didn't know that was a St. Louis thing. So the first year I'm in
You ever
Florida,
heard of that?
the kids come to the door, and I'm like, I mean, they're like, you don't get candy if you don't have an original joke in St. Louis. So I'm like, what's your jokes? What's your jokes? And the kids are looking at me like, what are you talking about, you freak? And it's a St. Louis thing, apparently.
Yeah, you also think Hoosiers are bad people.
Well, that's true. Hoosier is a derogatory term in St. Louis. It's a very commonly used term to describe white trash in St.
Wow.
Louis is Hoosier. So,
Yeah.
of course, my family's
what he
like,
thinks
oh,
about
you
me."
married a Hoosier,
Oh,
huh?
wow.
Yeah, and we got the car up on blocks in the yard and everything. So, yes.
Okay, so let's see. Kevin says he's home. So, hey, Kevin, I'm glad you made it home. And Gina's from Iowa and also calls it tubing.
Okay, and then Kevin says, what the hey is tubing?
Oh,
Oh,
Tubing is where you get an inner tube and float down a river.
yeah.
And usually it includes alcohol, but it doesn't have to.
Our family always brought an extra one
For the cooler?
For the cooler.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when in Missouri,
We should do that sometime.
I would just float down and
Rainbow
look for
River's
snakes, but
Yeah, I've never done it there.
most people drink alcohol when they do it.
kayak
Crystal
there.
River, too.
I mean, it's a little bit harder to tube in Florida because there's
Rainbow River.
other things tubing called
Crystal.
alligators.
Which
Rainbow River, but you can do it in Rainbow River because it's
Yeah.
too cold for
is
the
that
alligators.
where I did it?
Rainbow River's good.
Crystal River.
No, not Crystal River. Crystal River
Where
is where the
did-
manatees swim.
Right.
So I've done it in both.
I was gonna say, where did when I
they
was
do
kayaking
it.
with you? Where did we go?
That was
Wikiwachi.
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 That's what I was thinking
that's
of.
another,
Wikiwachi.
That's another.
Okay.
Because they're spring fed, so it's. I mean, there are alligators there, but not many.
While I've been tubing, I've seen not alligator, but
Manatees.
that would not have been good. Manatees. I
Yeah.
have seen manatees while tubing.
I've seen alligators while in.
I've seen alligators while kayaking.
Yeah.
It's very different to be in a kayak than in a rubber tube.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's valid.
Just saying,
Other than tubing, what would you call tubing? You call it a float trip, is what you would call it.
Well, that's what Matt calls it, but we're suspicious of him.
There's a lot of things that he says that
we're suspicious.
I got no St. Louis people on here to back me up. But assuming nobody else has heard the term float trip or used it as a common bit of language, I'm going to guess that maybe there's another thing that I didn't realize was St. Louis. St. Louis specific. Although I don't think it's just St. Louis, but limited apparently. Oh, no, wait a minute. Now, Les says float trips can be canoes, kayaks, rafts, normally down rivers. Okay.
yes, but
anything that floats.
But
and
Les
taking a trip.
yeah.
Les knows random things about everything.
Also, where are you originally from, Les?
Les just knows things.
Well, yes. He drinks and he knows things. That's what he does.
Does he drink? He
Yeah.
should drink. Oh yeah.
Does he drink? How did we meet Les?
At a nice luncheon.
Yeah, and I believe it was his wife that was encouraging you to keep downing the liquor.
And I love her for it.
Oh my goodness.
It says we are from the St. Louis area.
Okay, yeah,
and
that's
have
right.
you heard of float trip?
That's right, the Roddies. You got my back on this, right? Float trip.
No, because Anita knows where we stand.
No, don't pull that.
I knew I
lady
loved her.
gang stuff.
I knew I loved
That's
Anita.
right.
She's my fave.
Les is originally from Maine, but I haven't had a drink since 2015 per my heart
You're
doctor.
just
Bummer.
weird, man.
Wait, so it was what? I thought you guys were drinking when we met you. It was just I drank that much.
No, it was Pat that was
It was
doing
Pat that was Pat has to drink for you.
I like Stacy's
I know.
I'm just weird. I won't deny that.
Okay.
Well, we question most things that Matt says.
I'm like really hot. I put on this jacket because Viviana moved the camera down and you could see my fat arms.
Oh, dear God.
And now I'm hot. But that's okay.
It's because I'm too close to you. Sorry.
My wife was drinking for both of us. Anita says, love you too.
Come on, Ed. Back me up.
No.
You know better. He knows better.
My younger days, we would float down Jack's Fork. That sounds a bit rude. Whoa.
Stop shaking the camera,
Sorry,
sir.
I didn't know I had
It's
that
on
much-
the table.
I know, but I didn't realize I could move this table like that.
It's not made of stone.
Okay, but I don't think I normally vibrate the table when we're playing D&D and stuff.
Okay.
Suddenly, a seismic quake comes through the party. Sounds a bit rude too. All right. Ed says, okay, we got that one. Kevin says, I haven't had a drink since 2006 per my wife doctor.
Are you confused? Wife says no drink.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm like, is your wife a doctor? Or she just said no drink. Okay, well, we just got a juicer to be healthy. Well, not really, but we got a juicer.
I mean, I got it to be healthy.
Yeah, where it's sort of healthy if you
And then
use it the right way.
I didn't drink my juice today and I left it at work.
You know how much I slaved over that juice machine to make your
Hey,
juice?
you know how upset I am too? Because that was the one I was really excited to make. And that's the one that I can't drink because it's not here.
That's a bummer. Well, we're going to have to go to Parksdale tomorrow and get some produce. All
Okay.
right.
Anyway, so activities. We did the slide. You did some hot tubs. Did you go any shows?
So there's the Aqua show, which is really cool. And you have to book these shows ahead of time.
Oh, yeah.
They fill up ridiculously fast.
Mm.
But the Aqua show was beautiful. Also the ice skating, I did that one as well. Then they have like every ship is a little different. When we went on a lore, we actually saw a production of Mamma Mia, which was actually really good,
Oh,
and
that's
I
cool.
really much enjoyed it. This one had a production called All In is the name of the show. It's not a show that you'd normally see on Broadway like the other one. This one it had singing and acrobatics of sorts. It had the people that come down in the with the ropes and do the fun little twisty thingies, which I will props to them because I will never be able to do that. But it's really cool. So you got to see all those different aspects of acrobatics, I guess, and the lovely different change of outfits and singing and so on. But it wasn't anything like a storyline, kind of like Mamma Mia is a storyline, right?
Right.
So, but it was still fun. The other thing that we did was the comedy show. Every time I go to these comedy shows, their comedics are actually pretty good. I haven't been to a cruise comedy show that I didn't find humorous and enjoy myself with. So we did one of everything. I think those were all the shows that were available.
That's a lot because it was a five night cruise,
four night
cruise. Yes, that's a lot to accomplish.
Yeah,
in that amount of time.
One a night.
One a night. There you go. There you go. Stacy says having to book shows ahead of time is a huge strike against Royal for me. Is that a challenging thing to have to book the shows and figure out what you're going to do ahead of time and stuff like that?
It can be. I'm very much a planner. It's what I do. It drives me crazy when I can't plan things ahead of time. So for me, that's a positive.
Goes into your playbook. Yeah,
it does. It helps me figure out, okay, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to do it. You know, how can I get the whole family on board to, let's get organized. Because throughout the day, the family kind of disperses. The grandparents are very focused on the tiny people. The parents take turns whether they're going to do the tiny people and the grandparents or not. I mean, my husband are often around just figuring out where our next drink is coming from.
Gotcha.
So, and then for dinner, we all combine because we all got the meal package.
Yeah.
So we all get together for dinner. After dinner, we disperse, and then we get together for whatever entertainment is coming our way as far as that's concerned. And depending on what show it is, the kids come or they don't. And if the kids don't come, grandparents actually stay and babysit. So grandparents on cruises are amazing, apparently. I don't have tiny people, so I don't have to worry about that, trying to figure out how to do adult time with tiny people on the cruise with you. But apparently bringing grandparents is a great way. Bringing the grandparents of the tiny people seems to be like a great way to also find adult time.
Yeah. Well, I know on, what was it, the wedding cruise, Ashley and Josh had Charlotte, who was 1.5 at the time. And they wanted to go out one night to dinner without her. And your mom and Joe actually took Charlotte
and
for the night. And they loved it.
Everybody thought they were getting the best end of that deal.
Yeah.
So that's the best kind of deal.
Bring the older crowd to take care of the little ones so that the regular sized people can do whatever they want.
Oh, thank you for calling me regular size.
That's what I'm here for.
Usually it's plus, but I'll take regular.
Regular. We're all regular today.
It says you would canoe down the Current River. Now, I do know the Current River. That's a cold river. That's like a 50-degree Fahrenheit river, if I'm not mistaken.
But he said canoe. You're not getting wet in a canoe. Unless you fall over.
I'm getting wet in a canoe because if I'm going on a float trip, I'm getting in the water. So
float trip.
That's what I'm saying. And then Kevin says, I'm with you, Stacy. I'm not, he said joking, but I think he meant booking shows in advance. That's because, Kevin, the cruises you go on have 50 people on them. That's a yacht. Stacy says, I'm a planner too, but not for shows. On a cruise, I just want to go when I want to. Yeah, I can see it. But what I will say is this, like, I'm not a big fan of the song and dance shows on cruises, but if it was like Broadway legit, like Mamma Mia, then I'm down.
I could get you to go.
Then I'm down for that.
It was really good.
Because I like real Broadway shows. I don't like just random songs and dancing. Like, I don't really care. That doesn't do anything for me.
I have to say that between the two shows, Mamma Mia was definitely something. So if I go back on this again, and All In is still the show, I'm not going to repeat it because I've seen it once.
Gotcha.
Right. If I go back on the one where it has Mamma Mia and they're doing Mamma Mia again, I would be tempted to go watch it again.
Right.
So, because I'm the same
So
way
you
as
would you would go again.
I would go again to see Mamma Mia.
Sorry. All right.
But
Anita says we rock it as grandparents and love our kiddos, but we would probably not bring them first for more than one or so. We like to do what we want to do and don't want to miss anything. Yeah. But you get a lot of grandkid time too.
Yeah.
Where my mom and Joe are like, oh, we don't get to spend time with these little kids. So I'm like, do your thing over there. I also would not be down with babysitting your children. Like, I get paid to do that. And if they poop themselves, I'm not interested. So that's just how I roll. Les says, Viviana, do you make lists before you cruise?
So I do to an extent, especially if depending on the port, right? I'm already pre-planning what's going to happen at the port. I'm planning the shows that I'm doing that evening. Mm-hmm. I already planned which restaurant we were going to be going to every evening.
Your answer is yes.
I typically really do. I typically do plan all that. I find out ahead of time before I pack what the evening dress is. Because, there's sometimes it's red or white or wear your best or casual or whatever it might be. And so I always pay attention to those items as well and pack accordingly.
Okay. Yeah. Do you do a packing list?
I actually don't have a packing list.
Really?
Surprisingly, yes.
That is surprising.
We
do a packing list.
I actually have a tote for all of your toiletries.
Okay,
That's
pre-made.
Only
we have that.
Traveling, so that gets
that.
thrown in there.
Yep.
And then when I look to see what we're doing, right? Are we going to be walking a lot? Am I going to be wearing dresses more than pants?
Right.
All that kind of stuff. I think about those items and then I pack, but I don't have a list. I just think about, I go back through my head what I had planned for day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and figure out the appropriate dress for those items and toss them on the bed. And then I fold them and put them away. And I don't know why I take such care in folding everything. When I open my luggage, everything's like.
Do you use packing cubes?
I do not.
You should.
Okay.
I make a list because I'm terrified I'm going to forget something. So I go through meticulously, and I don't make a list. I'll either forget something or I'll massively overpack, and most likely I'll do both somehow. And then she copies off me. A little cheat.
Well, but here's the thing. But your method actually doesn't work for me.
Oh, that's nice.
Every time I try
I cheated off you, and I didn't like your answer.
Well, because you
then don't cheat off me.
Because what you do is like, I need this many pairs of pants. I need this many shirts. I've tried it,
packing list,
but I can't do it that way. I think about it by day. I'm like, okay, I have a C day. What am I going to need on that C day?
But what if you're going to...
Okay, I'm going to go to Cozumel. What do I need at Cozumel? Okay, I'm going to go to here. What do I need here? So I have to do it by day and what I'm doing each day.
I also probably need less pants than you do because I doubt you're going to wear as many skirts as me. I've already seen you in your kilt.
I was going to say, I will rock a kilt and I try and avoid pants whenever I can. So I don't know about that. Like, I would much rather wear a kilt than pants. I usually end up with one pair of pants on a cruise. Sometimes two, but usually one. And then depending on the cruise and stuff, I'll sometimes do the kilt. Yeah. So, yeah. Kevin says, my family used to go to the Kern River every year. The last time we went, I told Cheryl that I'm never camping again. That was almost 30 years ago. Cheryl was totally with it. Cool with it. Stacey says, I have a packing list for cruises on my phone that I use every time. I refine it for each cruise. I do the same thing, Stacey. I've got a packing list, and I just go in and edit it for the new cruise. And then Anita says, I don't, but maybe I need to because I forget to pack water shoes. I forgot to pack water shoes once, and it was like our 4th cruise. Shouldn't have forgotten those. Yeah, that's. I mean, I'm like, I don't
So
want
I
to forget
keep
nothing.
I keep my water shoes with my bathing suits. So the moment I go in to find my bathing suits, there are the water shoes.
They're like
Yeah.
together.
It's kind
Okay.
of like everything. I keep things organized in the house a certain way. So
Yeah.
whenever I do go packing, it's
I
all
do.
there. So it's a little bit harder to forget.
Right.
So the one thing that I do, and I don't have a list for it, but I have a reminder on my phone to make sure I pack my motion sickness patches.
Oh yeah.
And my medication, because I do have medications that I
Right.
take
Yeah.
daily. So, but because I take those daily, I'm hyper aware
You're
of
pretty
it.
good. Yeah.
And so what I did this time, so I wouldn't forget my medicine patches for seasickness, is I threw them next to my daily medication.
Mhm.
And so when I went to go grab those were already
You
there.
were
And
you
it
were
was-
good.
So again,
Yeah.
kind of like the water shoes and the bathing suits.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Let's roll them up. Let's roll them in it. Roll them in it. My packing list is like by not topic, but like I have like clothes. I have my water gear, like snorkeling, diving gear, which changes depending on the cruise. I have like my tech stuff, and then I have like my toiletries, and then I usually have like a miscellaneous. So I have like sections that I go through because it'll change. Because like if we're not diving, I'm not going to bring all that stuff, and then depending on how many times we're going to snorkel or whatever, it'll change a little bit. Ed says we are trying the vacuum bags for our next cruise to see how that works. So the packing cubes, some people love them, some people are like, whatever.
I need to scoot back.
But-
I feel like I'm. There we go.
But the
That's
advantage
better.
of those is you can roll. So rolling your clothes is beneficial because it doesn't cause wrinkles as much.
Mm-hmm.
So you roll your clothes really tight, and then you can really squeeze a bunch in. It kind of compresses them a little bit. Not as much as a vacuum bag would. You'll have to let us know how that works out for you guys. But
I will say that on longer cruises where I've needed to pack a lot more clothing,
yeah.
I've used the vacuum bags.
Oh, you've used them.
I have
Okay.
used them. But for like shorter cruises where
Right.
I've gotten better we've been cruising more and more.
You kind of hone your.
And I at the beginning, I overpacked insanely.
Oh yeah, I think most of us do. Yeah.
I've gotten much better where I don't do that anymore. So we did a cruise with you guys for this thing, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was a fairly long cruise, and I used the vacuum bags for that.
Ah, and those worked out pretty good for you.
They did, and I also used them for a trip that we did to Texas with Matt and Christopher.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had a lot of costume.
Oh, because
we were
it was
doing
a Ren fairs.
It was a Renaissance festival, and we were all gonna be dressed up. And so all those extra things took up a lot of extra room. So I used the vacuum bag for that, and it did work, and it was convenient. I definitely liked it. And thankfully the place where we stayed, it was an Airbnb, they had a vacuum.
No,
because that was the hitch.
I was going to say that was my next question: is how does it have a downside when you go to repack everything? You're like, oh crap, get the straw, honey.
So my vacuum bags came with a pumper thing.
Okay.
Where you can
suck
work? The air out. It does, but it takes forever. It's very different when you attach the vacuum to it.
Right.
I was
like an air mattress or something.
I was tempted to ask housekeeping to borrow their vacuum.
They probably let you. They
probably would.
Unless they have some regulation against it, they probably would let you.
But in Texas, it wasn't an issue because there was a vacuum
at
our destination.
Right.
Same thing. Oh, we also used it when we went to Hawaii.
Okay.
And we also was another Airbnb, and there was a vacuum in there that we utilized. So it was only once that I had to use the pumpy thing, and although it works, it was a pain in the tushy.
It was not. Yeah, you get your exercise in. So okay. Ed says we use packing cubes, but run out of weight before space. Oh, okay, because they're flying. So that's interesting. So you can get more density in there.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Les says, do you guys that are on medication take an extra week of meds on each cruise just in case? Oh, well, that's a good question for you guys. Do you do that? Do you just think like you get stranded because of weather or something like that, or something happens?
I take an extra couple days.
Okay.
I actually don't take an entire week's worth, but I do take extra days.
I would think it would depend on the severity of how important it is that you don't miss those medications and how available they are. Like whether you would do that. But I guess, if you need to do that to be safe, then do that.
I didn't think about that, and I might in the future pack more.
Right, because it doesn't take a lot of space to pack the meds.
No, it
right?
doesn't. It really doesn't. I will say this time around, every cruise I've been on, I've taken some kind of antacid with me, and I've never needed it. This time around, I didn't pack it.
And you need it.
Oh, yeah, Tums is a must for us on cruises.
But I thankfully they had some at the shop because they have like a small section where they have all kinds of little different medications, like ibuprofen, things like that. And I was just like 2 days of misery, and I didn't realize that they had it there. And finally did and bought some. So I learned my lesson. And again, that doesn't take much space to pack a bottle of that.
Right.
And I was trying to save space this time, and I regret that. So
yeah, we don't even get the travel version of Tums. We're like, give us the big bottle.
And we bring the whole thing.
Honestly, it's kind of weird though, because we
didn't need it last time.
We ate like hobbits on the last cruise, and we didn't.
That's actually.
I didn't get upset stomach at all.
I got nauseous one day, but I think it was because it was a little rocky.
Which
normally I don't.
It was a big ship,
cruises.
And it was rough. It was real rough. Like we almost didn't get to one of our ports. It was that rough. But Kevin says, "Am I the only one that folds up his clothes and puts them in a suitcase?" You're not the only one.
No, I mean that's what I did.
Yeah, but when you go on a fancy cruise, you don't need.
Yeah, Kevin, and you
don't need those nonsense packing cubes.
When they fold them for you and put them back up for you.
You just wave your wand and it goes into your suitcase.
We're just jealous, Kevin, right? You know that's why we give you trouble, because we're just jealous. Stacy says, Les, we take some extra meds, but probably not a whole extra week. So
I take a couple days. Yeah.
Yeah. Ed says theirs came with a vacuum pump that recharges.
Oh, he got fancy ones.
Yeah.
I'm poor.
My wine is gone.
I'm sorry.
I've been nursing mine. Mine's almost gone too. So just FYI.
There's still some in the bottle.
Do you want to go get it?
I think she's trying to get you to go get it.
I think she is too, but I'm reading comments and
Viviana.
Okay.
Wow. I benefit from this too. Way to be a good host, dear.
I can't get out without one of you moving.
You can get it. The chair goes backwards. There's like 5 feet behind you before we get.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't.
Like 3 at max.
I mean, look, I'm a man, so I exaggerate length.
This is a math show.
Dear Lord.
All right. Let's see. Where were we here? Okay. Les says, I take 14 pills a day, 8 in the morning, 6 at night. Can only miss a couple of them in my golden years. So, yes. So you need to bring all your meds, Les.
Yeah.
Be safe, brother. All right. Hey there, Virgil. Welcome. We'll study port to plan a thrifty excursion. Example, Cozumel will take a ferry to Playa del Carmen. Virgil says, "Fat fingers, Carmen." I can interpret for you, buddy. The public bus to Tulane is that Tulum, I think. So yeah, I mean, if you're gonna go outside of the cruise line for your excursions, it's a really good idea to plan ahead. You can do things like you can download maps for your phone from areas you're going to go, so you don't have to have cell service, so you can find your way around. In many cases, you can kind of plan everything out, especially if it's a port you're not familiar with and you're not sure. Definitely scope that out, get all your details figured out, have like your backup plans in case something goes amiss. Like when we went to Cozumel, we were going to go to Money Bar, and we got there and they're like, "You're not going to Money Bar. Money Bar is closed," which we found out because the cab driver was like, "No, they closed permanently. They had legal problems." But then Kimber
which
found
is not
out,
true.
No, they opened the day we were there. It's when they reopened.
They reopened the day so we could have gone.
I mean, I thought,
but Matt was
Chunk
happier.
Chunk was great that day. So
it was a really good.
It was like
the only thing that would have made it better is if I knew that's what we were doing, I would have brought my iPad so I could have read.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Or I would have downloaded a book onto my phone, which of all the things, I have so many books on Kindle and I didn't have a single one downloaded on my phone.
And meanwhile, I was playing with the fish. So
I mean, I snorkeled.
You did snorkel.
I
didn't go that long without you.
No.
No.
But lesson learned, I now have a book on my phone. I don't know what it is, but if I ever need it, it's there.
It's the dictionary. Start with A. Aardvark.
No, now I'm going to tell you what it is.
What the book is, or what the first word in the dictionary is? What is the first word in the dictionary? Is it aardvark? It can't be aardvark. There must be another double A word, right?
I have Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and apparently I have a juice recipe book.
There you go.
That's what's currently downloaded.
I downloaded the illustrated version of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone because I have the physical book of that, but I don't ever read the physical book of the Sorcerer's Stone
Because it weighs 10 pounds.
Because it's ginormous.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, oh, if I ever want to read it on my phone, at least I have the illustrated version.
Oh, Les says, speaking of fish, liked your video of all the fish. Well, thank you, Les. Appreciate that. Oh, yeah. We didn't even mention that. We have an entire cruise worth of vlogs that are out. They're released. The only one I didn't release, and I don't even know if I'm going to because it's really short and I'm not sure. Like, I want to redo it. We did like a little elevator etiquette video on how to use a smart elevator. But I don't know. It's not great. It's only like a minute long. So I might release it, but all the other videos are out. Like, I was like an editing machine this week and last week, just so you know. So thank you guys that have watched them and stuff and given them the thumbs up or the finger up or whatever you give them.
Yeah. I was watching your video right, because you guys were getting off of your cruise.
Right, you were getting on.
When I was getting on my cruise.
Yeah.
And so I watched your video about the room.
Oh, yeah,
the cabin that you got at MSC.
Speaking of that, that's actually the last question I have for you, but we went way off subject.
We sure did.
I wanted to ask you about your cabin.
So I will say when I had watched it right before we got onto our cruise. So I was kind of comparing our room to your room. Mm-hmm. It's an extent because I didn't realize the whole putting your key in that little slot to try and energy save, I guess, where the lights won't come on unless you have your key there. So Royal Caribbean actually has that, but apparently they decided to just put a blank key in there for us.
So they
it's permanently as if it's not really there. So I guess we could choose to remove that, but we didn't actually have to put our key in place of that.
I have mixed feelings about that whole thing. I like the environmental angle, but also it's like a pain in the ass.
So with Royal Caribbean, if a lot of people have noticed, the back of the ship has like this concave, like opening area, right? Mm-hmm. So there's actually balconies, not just on the exterior of the ship, but also in the interior of the ship. We've actually done interior rooms on Royal Caribbean. We've done balconies, and this was our first time doing a balcony on the interior of the ship.
Right.
It was pretty. The view was really nice. It was loud as all hell. I will never book an interior balcony again, me personally, because I do have moments where I can get motion sick. Mm-hmm. In the middle of the day, I want to go in my room and relax and try to start feeling better. And it's hard to do that when you have the deck party booming. Mm-hmm. Like literally when I walked out of my balcony, I looked up and to the right, and that was where the deck party was. Like where you could see the speakers, you could see the big screen, all of that is like right there. Because again, I don't know if anybody else gets motion sickness on cruises, but I have found this to be very true. You want to book your cabin in the middle of the ship.
Right. Middle waterline would be the ultimate place.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's where I've had the best experience, which is weird to like say, I really want deck 4 and 5. And most people don't want that.
Right.
But it really works out
if you have motion sickness, that's going to be your least amount of motion.
Correct. And I have to attest that is very true. I've had the best experiences on that. When we did Allure of the Sea was my absolute best experience, where I had no day at all where I felt not great.
Right.
Even on Utopia, that's actually bigger than Allure, I've had moments where I'm like, I don't feel super hot.
Right.
Not to the point where I got violently ill, but where I'm like, I'm getting a headache. I just want to lie down for a minute.
Yeah.
And that did happen. And I went back to my cabin, and it's just on sea days. Those are the days that kind of stink for me.
I'm sure it's very weather dependent too, because even a giant ship, if it's choppy enough, there's going to be a little bit of motion in the ocean. So
it's very different than a small ship, but you still feel it.
You're going to get which is still potentially there.
On my sea day on Utopia, I did have to go back to my cabin, and it was not the best experience to lie there and then just hearing the bass booming and the music that's going on.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people are having fun and enjoying it, but me here not feeling well and just want to relax was not the best experience.
Right.
For that reason, I really do prefer interior cabins.
Yeah.
Because even with the balcony, and you want it to be nice and dark in the middle of the day, you're still going to get some light that comes through.
Even with the blackout curtains, you're still
you still get
they
some.
still get
me. Yeah.
Because I'm real sensitive to
light.
light.
I'm not. Until 5th grade, I slept with the lights on. So,
so me personally, I've learned that for my motion sickness, for my desire to want to relax in the middle of the day and need that darkness, I prefer mid mid of the ship and interior. Gotcha. That has been my sweet spot.
Yeah,
where I definitely enjoy myself the most.
Okay.
Not to say I didn't enjoy the balconies. The exterior balconies, they're quite nice, and they're not ridiculously loud.
Right.
But the interior cabin, the interior balcony cabins,
you find your zen place there.
Well, the interior balcony cabins are just too loud.
It doesn't, you want an interior.
It doesn't matter where you're at. Yeah. It's loud unless it's like 7 a.m,
right,
or midnight. Because it was 11 p.m. and it was still booming.
Still going, yeah. Because those parties go pretty late.
They do. So it's not until it's very late or extremely early in the morning where you have that nice zen moment. Now, the day that we went to Coco Cay, I ordered coffee to my room, and it was still early enough. I went to the balcony and I was able to enjoy the quiet of being over Central Park and seeing the pretty greenery of Central Park and enjoying my coffee. That was a nice moment, but for that one tiny moment, it wasn't worth the rest of the craziness.
No, I hear you.
So, but the room was nice and spacious, like they always are. Surprisingly spacious for. It always surprises me how much they can pack into such a tiny space and not feel like you're on top of each other.
Right.
So I do appreciate that.
That's cool. Let's see. You can just put a business card in those holders and that'll work.
So one of the things, speaking of that, I don't know about your ship, but on MSC, they actually have like little lights outside the room. So if you have that card in there, the housekeeper thinks that you're in the room and they won't come in. So that's where that card, because we kept our card in there for most of the cruise, but there were quite a few times that like we came back from the room and he was like, "Oh, I didn't come in. I thought you were in there."
Right.
So in that specific case, like that didn't make sense to keep the card in there.
Yeah, because Stacy's saying that they turn the lights out when they leave and they just leave a card in there, but you can't do that on MSC.
Yeah, because then they don't come into your room.
Come and take care of your room.
So on Royal, that's not an issue, right? Because Royal has that magnet, and have you tried? What does it say? Yes, I have tried ginger candies.
Oh yeah.
Can you go get a paper towel?
Yes.
So ginger candies and Dramamine and the little bracelets, I've found where those don't really help with my motion sickness. I mean, I get motion sickness watching TV. It's pretty bad. But I will say if I have an upset stomach, I like eating the ginger candies. That it does help my stomach settle and feel better. But as far as eating it for the sake of avoiding to get motion sickness, that does not work for me.
There's probably more paper towel than what was
I
needed.
hope
but
that
thank you.
answered the question.
Les loves the smart elevators. Ed says he needs the video on how to use a smart elevator. Basically, Les, this is all there is
You
to
moved
it.
away. Come closer to me.
All you have to know about the smart elevators is you just have to put how many people are getting in the elevator. If you have a party of 5 and you just hit one, the elevator thinks there's one person getting in that elevator, and that screws everybody. So, and then I think Stacy says something about I hate them because nobody uses them correctly and clog the whole thing up. It was a frustrating disaster on the Carnival Horizon back to back. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. If people don't know how to use them, then it ends up being a bad thing. So, and unfortunately, that's kind of how it typically goes.
I will say I educated a couple people on Royal Caribbean with that because they saw me
You have
pressing
the
it.
smart elevators there
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, so Utopia has a smart elevator, and I kept I pressed my and Chris is like, oh, the people if you have, like, and I've had it where the first 2 times I hit it, it was one elevator, and the next time I hit it, it was a different elevator.
We froze.
That's when I realized that the smart elevator was like. At first, I was wondering if that was really the case because someone had told me that. But when I experienced that moment,
Are we slow?
We're down. I don't know if we may be back now.
I was gonna say there's lightning and thunder outside. We might have.
There is because
We've also had bad internet tonight.
Yeah, I think we're back. I think we're back now.
Okay.
So
Yep.
That was the experience I had because at first I wasn't 100% sure if the smart elevators was like a true thing.
Right.
And so I'm like, well, I'm just gonna do it just in case.
Right.
And there was the one moment where we got split, and I'm like, oh, so I just pressed it a couple more times, and we went on the second elevator that it mentioned.
Right. Because most of those elevators like 21 people. I'm like, not Americans. You know, like not getting 21 Americans.
Not 21 of me.
Not cruisers. No. Yeah. So we did educate a couple people, but mostly we just stood back and judged. Silently judged them. But
we didn't have too many issues. Our biggest times were like during big times.
You traumatized a teenager, but
it was so funny. I didn't tell anyone about this. Well, I told
you. Seem too excited about traumatizing a teenager.
Yeah. No. Let me tell you.
We're judging her now. Just so you know.
So we're standing there waiting for our elevator, and this group of kids comes over, and a bunch of them get on an elevator, and this one kid stays behind. And we've hit our buttons, and we're sitting there waiting for the elevator. And this kid is standing there. Now, when I say kid, this kid's, 13, 14 years old? He knows better, right? And he just starts hitting buttons. And I hear 7, car D. And he hits a button. 6, car B. And he hits a button. 5, car D. And I looked over at him and I said, really? And he looked at me and I said, are you really doing that? And he put his head down and he goes, my bad. And then the elevator door opened and he got on with us.
And it was just him and us riding up the elevator or down the elevator. It was very awkward.
Well, he wasn't that traumatized since he got in the elevator with you.
I'm like, it was so funny.
He felt the shame though. So.
He heard it. Like hit, I think I heard him hit like 3 or 4 buttons. And I looked over, I said, really?
I wish I would have filmed that.
Oh, it was beautiful.
But yeah.
I do want to mention one thing at Royal Caribbean that I noticed. We went on a cruise in April on Independence of the Sea, and they did it as well on Utopia. Now, this is the second time we've been on Utopia the Sea, and they didn't do it the first time we were there. But it was actually quite enjoyable, and I'll have to share pictures with you guys of it. But they have a piano and a man, and they roll it into an elevator. And there's an elevator going up and down for like an hour.
And the guy's playing
the piano in there,
that's
and
fun.
he takes requests, and it was we had him do SpongeBob SquarePants. That was fun.
And
But
he could do it.
yeah, he did it.
That's funny.
He did it. Of course, we were
That's
lame, and we
funny.
had him do Piano Man. Sing us the song.
He's probably like,
Piano
oh
Man.
my
He's
god,
like, oh,
here we go
God,
again,
here we go.
Piano Man. Oh gee, Piano Man playing Piano Man.
So we're extra lame and decided we weren't going to get off. Or we were going to get off, and we just stayed on for the ride. And we kept going up and down.
Yeah.
We just kept going up and down, and it was a lot of fun.
That's really cool.
And it was one of the elevators where was the interior where it's glass.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
So like when we were on Independence, it was just coincidence that we pushed the button and that one opened.
Right.
On Utopia, I saw the Piano Man. I'm like, it's the Piano Man. And so we ran off to the other side pushed the button and waited till it told us the elevator shaft that he was in. And we're like, okay, now we're getting on this one. So we made a point to get in it on Utopia, but on Independence, it was just a coincidence, but it was a lot of fun. And
fun.
It was a neat little additive that I hadn't seen them do before.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
That's really cool.
That's pretty cool.
So
that is very cool. Kevin says that's too much pressure. What if I screw up the elevator? Look, lots of people screw up the elevator.
You can't be worse than that, kid.
Some of them intentionally.
Have you guys ever stayed up late to see them change the date plate? Like the day of the week?
I haven't seen them physically do it. I've seen it's happened when we've
been on it. That's not on most of the cruises that we've been on.
It's not on all of them, no. Maybe that's a royal thing, actually.
It's on all the Royal Caribbean
I don't know if
ships.
it's on
that might be the only ship I've ever seen that on.
Carnival does that, where they change.
They don't have it on Carnival.
Yeah, not that I can recall.
And I've been on 2 royal ships.
Okay.
But no.
Apparently, we went out as soon as you spilled. Kevin says you're back, but you went out the second that wine got spilled.
See, it was the wine gods. Why? How dare you? She wasted wine, folks.
I offered to lick it off the table. He told me no.
She did. She tried to appease the gods, and it didn't work.
What's the Greek god of wine and partying? It starts with a D.
Dionysus.
Yes.
Didn't expect that out of you, but yeah,
I know my gods, sir.
My God,
especially when she offends them.
Especially the one about partying and drinking wine. Dionysus.
Are you really that surprised about that?
Not really, no.
I wouldn't have gotten there. I remember to start with a D, but
I couldn't think of it. Usually I would have it, but I'm like,
I've got my guys. Let's name them gods. Let's play God trivia. I got
God.
You. The good God. Let's see the good God is.
All right. Anyway, Stacy says to Les, you must have been lucky. There were times I waited forever for our elevator, never came. Had to take the stairs. Yeah. Holland America does Days of the Week, so we might have seen it on Holland America.
May be where I saw it.
Yeah,
or
that was Kevin said that. Alcohol abuse. Stacy said alcohol abuse. Les says I've been on 2 royal ships. Sovereign of the Seas and HMS Bounty.
I've never been on either of those.
Actually, only one was Sovereign. HMS Bounty, isn't that like a classic ship from the Age of Discovery? You're not that old, Les.
Okay. All right. Before we continue going off on a tangent, I have. Well, I was going to say 2 more things, but I think I only have one more question.
Okay.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, we need to finish Viviana's cruise.
We do.
And then I have one other thing that I want to talk about if we have time.
Okay.
That has nothing to do with cruising.
Oh, okay.
Do you have any other specific things about her cruise that you want to talk to her about?
I don't think so. I think we've covered it pretty well.
Do you have any other specific things?
I think it was the Piano Man that I wanted to make sure to add that in.
That was definitely a good one. Yeah, that was definitely a highlight, I would say.
Do you have another question for me?
Overall, how was it?
It's always good. So it's always nice to get away from reality and just enjoy yourself. As you know, especially when you have the drink. We definitely abused our livers. So just say, I mean, you get the drink package, you got to make up for it. But there is one thing that we do we think is kind of fun, and I recommend anybody that wants to try it. We get a shirt, and on the back of it, it lists all the bars that are on that ship, and we do a pub crawl. And we got like a fabric marker, And so we go to a particular bar, we order one drink, and then
Did you do that for this cruise?
Yes.
Did you do it through the whole cruise, or did you do it in one day?
One day.
Okay.
But we did it for the day. The first time we tried to do this, we tried to do it in a matter of like 2 hours.
God.
And it was a fail.
Yeah.
So when we went on Independence of the Sea, we decided to do it throughout the day. So it started the moment we did it day 1. So the moment we got on the ship, we wore those shirts on the ship. Mm-hmm. And then we found our first bar and then marked off that bar and went to dinner, paused, had lunch, continued.
You paced yourself.
We paced ourselves, and we're able to do a pub crawl throughout the day.
You made your wisdom check.
But we did do it in one day.
Yeah, okay, but so you didn't get a 20 on your wisdom check, but you got like a 16.
I think it was like 14 bars.
Okay, you got a 14.
So we got 14 drinks in one day. And yeah, I made sure that I ordered a bottle of water with every stop we made.
That's definitely a wisdom. That's like a bonus.
So like myself and Chris.
18.
Yeah.
So I will say not all 3 of us completed the pub crawl in that day.
Oh,
so
okay.
I actually was shy of 1 bar. Matthew was shy by like 3.
Oh.
But Chris was a trooper. He got all of his.
That doesn't.
Plus 6.
Nothing you just said surprises me at all.
No. So the next day I got my last one. And the reason why I didn't get my last one is because I hate going in the smoking casinos.
Oh, yeah.
My hair is not naturally straight. So if it smells like cigarettes, I have to wash it. And then it's a whole ordeal to straighten it. Okay. So I don't enjoy going in the smoking. So that's the one that I didn't get. And on day 2, I said, well, I need to at least get a drink from there so I can say I at least went to all the bars.
Right.
But I refused to go in. That's why I sent Chris in. And he brought me a drink. And I'm like, well, this is a drink from the casino.
That's fair. Yeah. That's fair. That's valid.
But on Utopia, it wasn't an issue because Utopia has the non-smoking casino. So I was able to go in there and get a drink there.
Gotcha.
And one thing I personally, which a lot of people probably will shame me for this, I personally like Screwball peanut butter whiskey, and I like it mixed with cranberry juice. Surprisingly,
like a peanut butter and jelly.
Kind of. But surprisingly, if you don't know what the combination you're getting and you just hand someone that drink, most people tell me it tastes like the chocolate candies that have the cherries in the middle.
Interesting. Okay.
So it's an interesting thing. And after they said that, I took a sip, just like mold it over and kind of just try to absorb the taste better or experience it better, I guess. I don't know. And I was like, I can see how they get those notes.
So we have, I don't remember what it's called, but we were trying to do like peanut butter and jelly shots, and we didn't like any of the peanut butter whiskeys.
We tried a bunch of peanut butter whiskeys. I really wanted to like them.
Next time
I
you
tried
come over,
several.
Yeah.
Bring over, if you have Screwball, I'm assuming you do.
I do.
Bring some, and we'll mix it with this other stuff that we've got and see how you feel.
We've had Screwball, but I'm not a quitter. I'll try it again.
Okay. So on Independence of the Sea, one bar and only one bar had Screwball whiskey.
Oh, okay.
On Utopia of the Sea, every bar had it.
Oh, nice.
So I was excited that I didn't have to mix drinks.
Yeah.
So that was a nice little additive bonus. So as we did the pub crawl, I was able to do the same liquor instead of mixing. So that made it easier to to complete the pub crawl.
Okay.
We need to, I think that the 4 of us, the 4th one being the other Matt, and Chris, because he's just a person that cruises. Whoa, that was some lightning.
It's like thunderbolts and lightning.
Need to do a princess cruise.
So
because we don't typically do the drink package thing, but on Princess we can add the packages.
Yeah,
and it's worth it for us to do it that way.
Yeah,
and I can't drink that much, but if I have the ability and the people to do it with, I'll regret it at the end, but I will
make
still
bad
do
choices.
it. Just ask JT. He's probably asleep with his face on the keyboard right now.
You know what though? He's in what is it, Pacific time?
Oh, that's right. He's living his best life in Alaska.
So it's like what, 9:30 is like 8:30, 7:30. It's only 6:30.
Oh. Well,
But
JP, stop having fun and come join us.
Stacy says I could never drink that much liquid in one day, alcohol or not. I spend too much time in the restroom.
I did go to the restroom quite often, not gonna lie.
I mean, once you
So-
break the seal, it just happens.
That was my seal
Thank you.
impersonation.
Oh, we got it. Thank you, Matthew. We didn't say Matt. We said Matthew.
Yes, I thought that.
That deserved a Matthew.
I'm very sensitive to the Matthew. Yeah. Do you do that? Is your Matthew? Is it your Matt a Matthew if he's in trouble?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a thing.
But
Yeah.
she also uses full names sometimes.
What
like,
do you mean?
Like you say Christopher all the time.
Yeah.
I say Chris.
That's true.
Yeah. But when I say Matthew, it's because you're
that's
in
true.
trouble.
Do you ever use his middle name? I don't even know what his middle name is.
I know what it is. I sure hope I do.
Is this like blackmail or something? Or
I feel
is
like
it
I probably used to.
is it
but
like
I don't-
Horatio or something? What are
Horatio.
It's the same name as his father.
Okay.
So it's Matthew Wayne.
Matthew Wayne. Okay. All right. I'm Matthew James. But if I
Thank you for letting me know. Next time,
if I get the Matt like from my mom,
when he kills my character in D&D, I will be saying that.
if I got the Matthew,
Or
I
at
was in
least takes
trouble. If
away,
I got
like, a
Matthew
really cool
James,
tool.
I was in pretty big trouble. If I got the
Like my
Matthew
unicorn?
James Allen, that was like lights out.
I was thinking the crystal sword, but yeah, your unicorn.
he
I
killed
mean-
he killed my unicorn.
I did not kill your
And
unicorn.
then gave you a very
Is
messed
that-
up horse.
You can get your unicorn back, and maybe it'll be in one piece next time.
Matthew.
Maybe it won't be the disembodied
Matthew James.
eyes on the back.
Oh my goodness. All right, we got way off topic.
Yeah, that happens
What?
around here.
What's your other thing you want to talk about?
Can you hand me those things?
Oh.
And I don't know if you can reach that.
Oh yeah, I can get it.
I got it.
Okay.
But I want those things too.
Okay, well, you want to talk about that first?
Yeah,
since you
that's
grabbed
fine.
it?
I'm going to talk about this really fun game.
It's fantastic show and tell.
Look, it's a kitty. So this is a fun game called Sparkle Kitty. It's really hard to find anywhere, but if you ever have access to it or want to play it, it's lots of fun.
It's kind of ridiculous, but it's fun. It's fun to hear adults say "Sparkle Kitty," and what
You
was
get
the-
to be a princess.
You get to be a princess. Can you imagine Matt like being a princess
And putting down a card and saying a spell in the spell book like glitter pony.
It's probably not that big of a stretch, really.
No, it
No,
probably
that's actually-
isn't.
That's quite accurate.
But it's quite funny to watch adults drinking and
It's a simple game.
saying those
It's easy-
ridiculous
It's
combos.
easy to play once you catch on. It's
Double
so it's a-
Sparkle Kitty.
fairly casual.
Double.
Good God.
Such a fun game.
No.
Um,
This is you
Anyway.
can have your unicorm back, but now it's just a horse.
sounds like an episode from Big Bang and Sheldon talking. You know what? I would love to see Sheldon playing Sparkle Kitty.
Oh my God.
Sheldon or the actor that plays Sheldon?
Sure.
Because he could probably do some
She said
Sparkle
sure.
Kitty. Yeah.
I think either. I mean, Sheldon's character would be hilarious, but I could just watch, Jim Parsons doing it too.
All right.
I'm a fan of Jim Parsons.
He doesn't swing your way. Sorry.
That's okay. If I try hard enough, I can change anyone.
Wow.
I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I'm just kidding. I've got you. I don't need to.
Oh.
So I've been 3D printing things, and this is my fun new print. It's a deck of cards, which right now it's in a box. And I think I showed like the first couple cards when I printed them, but the box is really fun because it like opens up and then like turns into like a discard pile spot. The other side does it too. And then the cards are like cards. It's called Sabak. It's from Star Wars Outlaws. But it's fun. And then there's lots more pieces that haven't been printed. And then I printed these really cool coins that I really like.
So it's currency for this, right?
No.
Or like
they're
to
not.
gamble?
No. These are actually, so each player gets 3 of them.
Okay.
And depending on like how you win or lose, you might lose one. So once you run out of
Is it
these,
something like poker chips?
mm,
Kind of.
not really, because you don't put them in before. You put them in
They're more
after.
like they're more like mark like turns almost in a sense, or like they're like lives in a video game.
Kind of, yeah. That's probably a better description.
Well, I'm just going to need to break in here because I got a comment from Anita that says, our granddaughter has a game called Pretty Pretty Princess, and Ed played it with her, and he was all dressed up as a princess with a crown and earrings.
And did you take a picture of it?
I need pictures, please.
And
pictures.
if not, then we need a repeat. And we need photos. Or he cannot stay with us in October.
Oh, wow.
I bet you he looks adorable.
Oh, I don't doubt that. But we don't know that without proof.
I'm sorry, Ed.
I look forward to seeing them in October.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have some ideas
Oh yeah.
that we'll talk to you about. Also, I'm supposed to talk to Ed sometime. I was supposed to call him on our way to Siesta Key.
Were you?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't.
I know.
Why not?
I forgot.
Oh.
She spilled wine.
Yeah.
That was way before she spilled wine. That was way before she spilled wine.
That's all I have.
Okay.
What do you have?
Me?
Yeah.
I got nothing.
You're Mr. Talkie Pants.
I know, but
Mr.
I was trying to give you the,
I did.
give you the airtime.
I talked.
Okay.
My wine's gone. I'm done.
Do you have any other questions
She
about
just-
Royal? Because
she
you
just
guys don't
shuts
cruise
down.
Royal too often.
No, she's been on twice. I've been on
Royal's actually currently
I
my
think
least
4 or
favorite line.
5.
Well,
Royals.
Virgin Voyage is probably my least favorite, but then Royal is like close behind.
But you haven't been on any of the big Royal Caribbean ships. You've been on the older ones in slow time cruises. So, and and then the one was like the short one that was like
Right.
the weekend party.
I mean,
cruise.
I've been on Brilliance of the Seas and Freedom of the Seas.
Because my experience outside
But
of
Freedom
those,
wasn't small.
no, but like compared to like their big mega ships, my experience on Royal before we've had the most recent experiences was that Carnival and Royal were very similar. Now I haven't been on the huge ships from Royal. I know those are a different kind of thing. I wouldn't differentiate a lot between those lines. I mean, there's differences, but
Now,
like either one would be.
I would say that I feel like the dining on those two cruises
Mhm.
was superior than some of the dining we've experienced outside
On the
of that.
Royal Caribbean
Yes.
cruises.
Those
I would
the
say once
food and the experience as a whole, like
once Carnival changed to that like American table, their food choices and quality kind of took
but
a,
like on
took a little bit of a
Brilliance,
step back.
we ended up at that table that was right by the staircase.
Mhm.
But our wait staff, like I don't remember his name, but the one guy we ended up giving the aquarium tickets to,
Oh yeah.
he was phenomenal. Which not that we haven't had good wait staff outside of that, but like I specifically remember him.
No,
And
I
on
feel like
Freedom, we
they're-
had the guy that made us towel animal
Yeah.
flowers
I feel like Royal's
or
still
napkin flowers.
I think Royal's still kind of winning the game. Carnival used to be there, and they've kind of let that go a little bit. I think. I don't
Paul.
care. I don't care so much about the table
Hello.
stuff, but like the blankets on the tablecloths, I don't care
Yeah.
that much about that.
We had
but,
that on MSC. They
Right.
had tablecloths.
But the service has also stepped down with the
Yeah,
tablecloth.
I would agree with that.
So I've been on two Carnival cruises, and then like 5 Royal. And in my opinion, between the two, is the ships are superior in quality and everything. I feel like the staff in general is amazing on both.
Yeah.
I think the service you
In
get,
general,
yeah,
I would
customer
agree. Yeah.
service,
Yeah.
period, on Carnival and Royal to me are very similar. I haven't had a bad experience with customer service on either of them,
Yeah.
but I feel like the ships in general are just bigger and nicer and prettier.
But you're used to these big,
The massive
newer
ships, but that's because of my motion sickness. I have to.
Right.
I won't get on a cruise ship that's under 100 tons.
I think the Carnival Magic fits your criteria.
So I actually have it, and Matt knows this too. Well, not that Matt, my Matt knows that I really want to go on the one you guys got married on,
Mardi Gras.
Mardi Gras.
We'll go with you.
Because that one's actually.
I don't know if he'll go with you. I'll go with you.
Anita's sending the picture of Ed, and you have permission to show it.
Oh yes. Thank you, Anita.
Or sending
you
me
are
the
the
picture.
best.
Oh no, I have it.
Okay, you got it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh, he looks so pretty. He's such a pretty princess.
Aw.
You're so pretty.
You know what that is? That's a good grandpa.
That is a good grandpa.
Is that Marley in the background?
That is a good grandpa.
Also, that
Thank
looks
you,
like fun
Anita,
stuff.
for sending
I want
that.
to come play on those toys.
I want to be a pretty princess like him. So, but yeah, so my experience, because of my motion sickness, I have to do the bigger ships.
Sure. Yeah.
And Royal just has more options on the bigger ships than the smaller ones. And it's just, they've been really good.
I've been on.
Yes, I did quite often and not great. Pride, it was my experience. That was a 7-day cruise.
It was a 7-night, yeah.
Yeah, so there was another couple that her husband was like me, getting motion sickness, and we were at the bar and we locked eyes and we were like, "Yup, I feel it too." And we were both having miserable moments on that ship. Now, the company was great, right? The ports were great. I had a really great time at all the ports that we were at. It was being on the ship that kind of sucked. Yeah. I think the weather itself was kind of choppy in general. I think that if the weather was better, I would have experienced it much nicer. But Pride was definitely a hardship for me. And I was pretty close.
We're about to lose power. Okay. Like, not power. The computer's going to die.
Cool. I was close to giving up on cruising after Pride. I told my husband that I don't think cruising's for me after I was on Pride. And then I kept being told by other people to try the larger ships. And once I did, the first large ship we tried was Allure of the Sea.
Yeah.
And it was phenomenal. Yeah. I had such an amazing time. I didn't feel sick at all any of those days that I was on that ship. And then we did Utopia the Sea, which was even larger than that ship. And again, I had a great time. There was one sea day where weather just wasn't on our favor and I felt kind of off.
Right.
But nowhere near to how I felt like I was on Pride.
That's good. That's good because like I've been going more and more like I like smaller ships, but like that's a very valid reason for people to want to sail big pardon me, big ships besides all the amenities and all the shows and the food options is another reason. Yeah. Like for Matt, like that's a very valid reason for him to really want to sail those giant mega ships because if you have those dietary restrictions, you're on vacation. You don't want to eat a plate of fruit and have the same thing for dinner every night. So those are good, definitely good reasons.
The larger the ship is, the more restaurant options they have.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So it allows us to and even when we went to Giovanni's, which is an Italian restaurant for someone who has an allergy to gluten and to wheat, it's a pasta place. They still brought him a plate of gluten-free pasta.
That's awesome. And
he really enjoyed it. He's like, that was actually pretty darn good.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
It's great. All of the amenities that they've been offering for that.
Yeah. Anita says, no, that's Drew. And yes, he is an amazing pawpaw. That's what she and Ivy call him.
Aww.
That's awesome. Stacy says, I don't get seasick, but haven't noticed much difference in motion between big and small ships. I think when you're talking as big as like some of those giant royal ships, like I've ones for that. So even what I'm thinking of is kind of me guessing at
Well,
those differences.
but I mean, like Islander, that was
Mhm.
a very rocky cruise.
It was, yeah, and that's like an older.
And it's a little older and smaller
Definitely,
ship.
the older, smaller ships are gonna
Right.
have more rock in choppy seas.
Yeah.
But I also think that if you get motion sickness, you're going to be more sensitive and feel it. Because
Absolutely.
I felt the big ship
Absolutely.
moving,
Yeah.
and my family was like, I don't feel anything.
Right.
But I'm more sensitive to
yeah.
it because of my motion sickness.
I gotta plug in the computer. It's gonna die.
Okay. Les says motion sickness is just like real estate: location, 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 low and midship.
Yeah, it's very true.
Center of gravity. Yeah, absolutely. It's unfortunate. Like, I wish that there were better solutions to that for people that are very sensitive to motion sickness.
I mean, I got motion sickness watching The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The director decided to
the TV show.
The TV show.
Okay,
the first season of the TV show. They did the director decided that they were going to just do a different type of recording that scene, and they recorded it with the camera as if you were walking.
Oh yeah.
And I ended up looking at the ground and told my husband, please tell me when this part is over. I'll just listen to this, because that triggered my motion sickness.
I mean, I'm sensitive. Like, I know we've talked about this. Like, certain, especially older first-person video games make me sick. Blair Witch Project made me sick. Couldn't do that.
Can't watch that.
But I do good on ships, so I'm not as sensitive.
Yeah.
My mom is more sensitive than I am, but she does the patch and she's okay. So, but you still struggle. So you're probably one of the more extreme. Yeah, you're one of the more extreme cases of motion sickness. So it's good that you have at least an opportunity to experience cruising. I can
still enjoy cruising as long as I do the larger ships.
Right.
And so, and I did Independence, which is more mid-size, and I did pretty okay on there. It was just the once again, it's those sea days. I wish I could just have.
If you could predict the weather. You know,
I like a cruise with 0 sea days.
Yeah.
And I feel like I probably do the best on that.
I mean, so cruising out of, like, say, Puerto Rico or something like that is not maybe a bad idea, because a lot of those Southern Caribbean cruises, that's kind of how they go. There's a lot more port stops, but that means there's less, time at sea. But it's interesting because I've been on cruises where it was rocking and rolling. I was also on a cruise once, and I think it was like the Horizon or the Vista. And I guess we were traveling in a way with the wind that I went up front on the bow, and it was like you could have dropped a pin, it would have just fallen down. And we were moving like 20 knots or 25 knots, whatever full speed was. And I guess we were just matching the wind, and the seas were calm. And it was like almost surreal. It's like, why isn't, because normally you go to the bow of the ship, it's like, so if you could predict that, but you can't. So
no, you can't.
No.
But at least I have better options on the larger ships, because even if the weather is not amazing, it's less likely that I'll get sick.
Yeah.
But thankfully the rooms are nice. So if I don't feel amazing, I can just go lay down and I'm perfectly okay with that. I always download things on my tablet too ahead of time.
So sometimes people say, if you're feeling nauseous, that some people say you should look at the horizon, but you're saying that is not the solution. At least not for you. It's definitely not the solution.
So I went deep sea fishing.
Oh yeah, that's real rough.
Yeah, I went deep sea fishing.
And you're stopped. That's when it gets me, is when we're stopped.
The only thing I caught was motion sickness. So as we were going out there, I'm like, this is not good. This is not good. And my friends kept telling me, look at the horizon, look at the horizon. As soon as that ship stopped, I was running to the edge, and all my cookies came out. All of them. I was wondering how there was anything left that kept coming out. Unfortunately, it was a really bad experience.
Yeah. Let's see. Stacey says you're right. No, some more. Viviana, would you ever do the North Star on a royal ship? And then yes. And then he says, deep sea fishing. Did you chum the other fish? Yes, you did.
I helped
You
other
chummed
people
them. Yeah.
catch fish.
Yeah. Well, my friend Kevin that used to work with me at the science center, we had a big touch tank, and we'd have like 30 kids around it. And he had a kid one time, and he was, for some reason, Kevin was obsessed with vomit. It's really weird. But anyway, this kid like vomited in the touch tank, and he said, "This is what happened. 30 hands went, whoop, and all the fish went whoop, right over to it."
At least they cleaned up the tank.
They took care of it.
There
It was like enrichment day for them. But
I will say I just remember. So first of all, I don't know what the North Star is. What is the North Star?
is that like a feature that you can do, like some kind of, or am I thinking of?
I believe that's the thing that's on the top of the ship that like rises up and like moves around.
That's what I was thinking.
I think a lot of the cruise ships that have that do Alaska.
Okay.
But I could be
They're
incorrect.
like the high tech Royal Caribbean ships. There's like the
one
class.
with like the
I
ice
think.
room and stuff.
Are we right? Correct us if we're wrong on that, but I feel like that's what
it's been a few years.
I'm
since I did
going
my
to say
Royal
you
training.
should not do that.
Okay.
It seems like a bad idea.
That comment reminded me of one other entertainment on Royal Caribbean that I actually quite enjoy, and I kind of want to do different ships just so I can keep doing them. There's escape rooms.
Yeah.
Now
Right.
the escape room is the same on that one ship, and it doesn't change.
Right.
So we went on Utopia twice. Well, we did it the first time we were on there, so we weren't going to do the escape room again because it's the exact same escape room.
I can escape real quick.
But but we did it on Independence of the Sea and on Allure, and so I want to try different ships just so I can do the escape rooms. I love escape rooms, so that's just, if you didn't know that they had escape rooms, they do. It is an extra charge for it.
That's fair.
But I think it's like $30 or $40, which is what it normally
costs. It's like legit escape.
It is, and it's quite nice.
Then that's worth it.
Yeah, it's quite nice.
Yeah.
North Star is the.
It is the arm that goes. Yeah, Stacey said you're correct. It's quantum class. Yeah, that's the tech.
It's like the techie
class or something like that.
You've got like the drink robot.
Yeah. Well, I think some of the other ones have the robots too. I have not been on
one of those.
No, okay. So maybe it's just the quantums that have that. So that's cool. Well, it is 9:57. Time's fun when you're having flies. Mm-hmm. So we are going to sign off here in just a minute. But any closing comments you want to say? Anything you want to say about the cruise, or anything nice or mean you want to say about Kimber? Well, not about me, but only if it's nice. But
thank you for having me. It's been fun. Love hanging out with Miss Kimbra, and there's Matt. So we love you, Matt. But yeah, thank you for having me. It was fun. I hope that my experience on Royal Caribbean has benefited you guys as well.
Oh, this is great. Yeah.
So that's all I have to say.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, thank you for coming on and talking about your cruise, giving us that different perspective. I learned some things tonight. I think that's pretty cool. And a lot of we have some Royal Caribbean people, but we don't have that many. So it's good to get that other, perspective as well. Do you have something you're gonna take this wind out of your sails there?
Thanks for joining us and doing it in person, because I was the ding dong that didn't even think of that as an option.
Because we live so far away from
each
other.
I know. I assumed she was coming over.
We see each other so infrequently.
Should have been like.
And in May, I saw you every freaking weekend.
You're welcome.
It was one week I think I saw you twice.
It's like I did a live with Griff and Alyssa one time, and I was at their house, and they didn't tell anybody, and then I just kind of showed up in the back room and back behind the camera in the kitchen, and then people were like, "Was that Matt from back then? It was the Cruise Geeks. Is that Matt from the Cruise Geeks back there?" And then they were like, "What are you talking about?" They acted like I wasn't there. I was just like in their house. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, anyway, thank you guys for hanging out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching our videos, but mostly just thanks for being friends with us. And we will not see you next week, because we will be at the International Herpetological Symposium in Fort Myers, being nerdy about
And Friday night is
reptiles.
Iguanaland night.
We'll be at Iguanaland geeking out with our man Ty Park and lots of other cool people in the reptile world. So,
Oh, I have something else to say. Monday is Matt's birthday.
oh, it is. Yeah, that is a thing that's happening.
That is a thing.
Another year around the sun. Yeah. Okay. There you go.
For his birthday, he wants you to get me things.
What? Were you aware of this?
No, I wasn't aware of
Okay,
that.
just
No,
checking,
not
just
at
checking.
all.
Just kidding. I don't need you to get me things.
Now, for my birthday, I want you to hug somebody you love, be kind to somebody that you wouldn't normally be kind to. You guys are kind to everybody, and just have a good day. How about that?
Wow, that was like big.
That was big. That was big.
Happy Pride
That
Month.
was big. Happy
Yeah,
Pride.
happy
Yes.
Pride Month.
There you go. Happy Pride Month.
Month.
Celebrate the diversity in our world. That makes it a beautiful place.
Yep.
All right. We will see you guys in 2 weeks. Until then, have a great time, and we'll see you later.
Good night.
Bye.